But we are forking Aave, right? Fiat is a fork of Aave. You know, we've done a little touch-ups on our latest version on V3, which is the final version that's currently on testnet. Um, you know, basically, you know, the short pitch, it's, you know, the bank for PulseChain, right? You can deposit a range of different assets from the RH ecosystem, and you know, you can borrow and lend against them or for them. You know, a question that you might ask yourself is, well, why do I need this, and what is this for, right?
Right.
Well, as a typical user, you know, if you just in general have the fiat coin, right? There's the cash flows associated with the protocol itself because it's, you know, revenue sharing. So as people are borrowing and lending, you know, Hex, Pulse, and PulseX, right? You know, by staking the coin, you just get a nice, you know, allocation of Pulse, PulseX, Hex, stable coins, Hedron, you know, all sorts of cool stuff, right? And, you know, if these coins are successful, you know, the RH ecosystem stuff, the platform itself will also be successful. And, you know, it's just a nice way to have a very passive income from all of your favorite coins in the RH ecosystem. It's, you know, very eloquent, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it as well, besides the, you know, the passive income stuff.
Can you just talk about too, you know, fiat, fatty, like what are the different, like are they different products? Do they fit together? Like, can you just explain that before we get into the demo?
Sure, yeah. So cool stuff here, right? So we have a fork of Aave, okay, which is fiat, right? You can go and play with that on testnet right now. I think it's testnet.fiat.io, right, with the PH. You can go play with that right now. You can go deposit your coins over there, go borrow, go lend, go have fun, you know, all sorts of stuff. We then have a read-only wallet aggregator, right? So you can see all of your PulseChain assets, your Ethereum assets that have to do with, you know, the Richard Heart ecosystem, right? It'll be like DBank or like Zerion. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that stuff, but essentially, you know, if you wanted to track all of your assets, right? Like I'm looking at it here on the screen, on my other screen, but, you know, I'll show you guys in a second. You know, you can see the prices of your stuff. You can see, you know, you can click on links to go and earn it on fiat, right? So it takes you right to the fiat webpage. You know, there's a bunch of links for things like liquid loans, for Hedron. There's even links for Power City. You know, it basically is like the bow tie that ties the entire community together so everyone can use. And there is no coin for Fatty, right? It's, you know, this is, we're having this built by third-party guys. This is not taking any dev time away from things like Fiat or Famous, right? So this is just something that we've built for us to share with everybody in the community, right? So this is, when it's done, it's free. Everybody can use it. You know, it'll become, you know, a beast that never ends as more coins and stuff come into this ecosystem, right? And then
10, yeah, I was gonna say 10 words or less. What are the three main products, just so people can like kind of just wrap their head around it while you're talking about it?
Yeah. So, you know, Fatty is the read-only wallet, shows you everything you got. Fiat is, you know, the bank of PulseChain, okay? And Famous is going to be a leverage trading exchange on PulseChain, right? So it'll be a derivative exchange on Pulse. You know, you'll be able to, like, I've been playing with the demo, the private one, for a week now, and it's actually pretty fun to go, you know, 20x long on Hex on testnet, right? And
Wow,
yeah, that's something that the community has been begging for almost for a while. I know Richard has. So, you know, that big reveal will be on Friday. You know, we'll have the demo out for everybody to go use and go degenerately leverage trade on on testnet. But yeah, I mean, you know, you'll be able to margin trade Pulse, PulseX, Hex, Hedron. I think the loan token is on there. Zen is on there. So if you want to short Zen or long Zen, right, you know, have at it. But yeah, man. So Fiat, Fork of Aave, Fatty, the bow tie that ties the entire community together for everybody to use, right? And then Famous. Fiat and Famous, they're both cash flow positive, you know. So as more people use it, you know, the stakers of the Fiat token and the Fame token, they just get a portion of the fees from all of this stuff, which is, I mean, fantastic to me, right? Say that again.
Yeah. People like fee sharing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and then, you know, especially if it's not. You know, sometimes it's better for the coin not to inflate on itself, right? And you're just collecting, you know, a range of different RH ecosystem stuff. I think that's really bullish, right? But yeah, man, it's pretty exciting, dude.
You want to get into the demo? Show us a little bit about it.
Sure, yeah. I can show you guys the Fatty website here. Let's see. Share screen. So this is still being built, but essentially, right, this is my testnet wallet. You know, shows you the prices of, you know, the different things that you have. As far as, you know, the Fiat protocol, you know, you can see what you have staked, and then, you know, what you're earning and whatnot, and then what you're borrowing out. You know, lending to the protocol and stuff. Shows you your liquidity positions on PulseX. Give me a second and I'll pull up another. Shows you your Hedron stuff and, you know, like tokenized stakes, right? Which, you know, this thing is not completely finished. You know, this is just to give you you guys a rough idea of the direction we're heading, right? You know, we're really trying to support as many things as we can within the ecosystem, right? Just so everyone has a place to view their things. Because, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have used the testnet block scout, but it's just not it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All your balances don't load. It just you can't see all of your coins. Sometimes the balance is just completely incorrect. You know, so we figured we'd have this built and everything for everybody. But, you know, it shows you like this is some hex.com stakes on PulseChain. You know, it shows you your ranking, shows you how much your wallet net worth is, how many days you have left to serve, you know, all sorts of stuff, right?
I like the idea of a read-only wallet too, because a lot of the security concerns go away. You know, you reduce the attack surface where, you know, even if, you know, if there were some security bug, it doesn't have access to your wallet. It can't send tokens or anything. It can only read balances. So I really, as a security background, I'm like, that's actually, it serves a really cool purpose. And then you get a lot of the data. And if you want to go transfer coins and stuff, you can use another wallet. You can use, you know, whatever else you want to use. You can use app.costa.pro for all the Hedron stuff, you know, all that. But this is just, yeah, really nice layout, and just shows you, you know, I think the maximum ROI as you can get with a read-only wallet, especially with you having all the other projects and stuff listed on there. Which I was going to ask too, like, what is the criteria? You know, you guys just have to like the other projects, or what is the criteria to get listed on that left-hand side?
I mean, you know, if people want to, you know, are interested in having their things on this stuff, you know, just send us a message, right? You know, it takes a little bit of time to add these things because you know, this is proprietary. You know, we're building all this stuff. So it takes a little while, but yeah, I mean, you know, if, you know, you're not a scam, right? Yeah, you know, there's no reason why these things can't be listed. But yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to try to have as many things as we can to service in this community, right? So like you see on the right here, you'll see that all of these, they go to the respective links for the respective websites, right? So, if I click on liquid loans, which I'm not going to do, but, if you click on liquid loans, it'll take you to the liquid loans front end. And then, you click on Power City. I think it just goes to the Power City website for right now. But, yeah, I mean, we're really trying to get everything for everybody to use, and it's not just for Pulse. You got your assets on Ethereum, assets on Pulse, and then I think we have a couple other chains too. But when this becomes more complete, you guys can go have at it and start looking and just have literally, a complete picture of where all your stuff is across many of these chains. I really think this is like the bow tie. This is the bow tie that really, very nicely, eloquently ties the community together. Seriously. And, no cost to anybody, right?
Yeah. I see an NFT tab as well. Is that live? You can view NFTs?
Not yet. Nope.
Okay.
So one of the NFT things that we do have is these tokenized stakes and stuff, these instant stakes for Hedron and whatnot. So you can see that these are on Ethereum for this particular one, and these are on PulseChain. But,
Gotcha.
It's really exciting stuff, man. And on Friday, we'll have our big reveal on Twitter Spaces. So keep an eye out for the famous Twitter account, which I can maybe send you the link to or something. But yeah,
drop in the chat, and I'll put it in our chat.
But yeah, on Black Friday, keep an eye out for what we're doing on Twitter.
Black Friday. Yeah, that's hard to forget. Okay.
Easy date, right? Easy date to remember. Yeah. Black Friday. I think it's 3:00 Eastern time. Can't miss Eastern it. Time.
Okay. Fast Abdul says, "Tell me about flash loans on fiat."
Oh yeah. Yeah. So those will definitely be able to be used and utilized on PulseChain. Right now, you're going to have some coding experience, just like on Aave. Right. Not any Joe Schmo can directly make a flash loan on Aave. They'd have to use something that somebody else had built, like, for instance, Furu Combo or DeFi Saver, right? Those things you can use to build a flash loan on Ethereum or a couple of other chains. And, you can execute it if it is profitable. If it's not, it just reverts, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of waste the gas. But, on PulseChain, I don't know if they're going to support PulseChain right off the bat, but if they do, we'll see what we can do to have them support fiat and stuff. But
or a new product idea. You already got 3 Ps.
I mean, true, right? Just throw it on
freedom.
Fatty, sure. Yeah.
Freedom or fast, PHAFST. Just
you got to throw a PH in there at some point.
Yeah. All the cool words, and then replace the first of them with a PH. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, the devs have been doing flash loans on PulseX, and the profit and stuff, goes to the stakers and whatnot, or the fees that they're incurring by borrowing the assets and stuff. So, it helps stimulate the fiat platform, right? But yes, the devs, you will be able to flash loan stuff if you have any coding experience.
Do a flash loans 101 real quick, just for people who are not familiar with how they work.
Yeah, so a flash loan is basically a loan that you take where you don't need any sort of collateral. But the caveat is you have to make the loan and pay the loan off in one block, right? So what you would be doing is you'd go to Aave, you would set up a transaction, and then you'd submit it, and the transaction would look something like, I'm going to take $10,000 of USDC. I'm going to go to Uniswap. I'm going to go buy Hex on Uniswap. Then I'm going to go take my Hex, sell it for Ethereum on Uniswap, then take my Ethereum and sell it for USDC on Uniswap. And if there is a profitable trade, I will pay off what I owe to Aave plus the fee. And then if it's profitable, I'll keep a little bit of USDC profit or Ethereum profit, however, that arbitrage plays out, and then pay off the loan in one block. So it'd be one complete transaction, and it'll pay the loan off in one transaction. That's what a flash loan is. There's many different ways you can use flash loans on Aave. There's a way to leverage on Aave with a flash loan, but it's very complicated, and I'm not going to be able to explain it to you off the top of my head. I have to, it's complicated, but it's definitely doable, right?
What are the risks with flash loans, I guess, or the risk versus reward? Like, why do people even deploy them?
So with a flash loan, the risk is your transaction fee and the transaction just not going through, right? So you just forfeit some Ethereum for a transaction fee. On Ethereum, that could be expensive for some people, right? But on PulseChain, you could probably, get away with trying to do flash loans all day for a couple pennies, right? So, yep.
A couple pennies, things are cheaper on PulseChain. There you go. Nice.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, flash loans are great. You can use them to, arbitrage prices and level out the prices so everyone gets the best price possible across, all of the dexes and stuff. It also, you could also use it to your advantage if there is some extreme mispricing on some platforms, or there's many ways you can use this stuff, right? Your imagination can literally run wild. But yeah, we'll definitely have support for flash loans on fiat. But
so we got Fiat in the chat answering questions as well. UFO says and liquidate loans. Yeah, liquidation on Fiat separate. Get done by bots. Not.
Yep.
Yeah. Go into that real quick.
Yeah. So if let's give an example. If you have let's say you've deposited USDC, okay, and you borrowed Hex, okay, and then you sold Hex on the market, all right, which is effectively a short position on fiat, okay. Well, what happens when the Hex price goes up? Okay, well, since you borrowed it and it is becoming worth more versus your collateral, essentially what will happen is, your collateral will start to be sold to go buy what you owe. So in this case, your USDC collateral will be used to go buy up Hex on the market to pay off the creditor, right? So the person that you owe money to, which effectively would push the Hex price up even higher. So that's why we like shorters getting liquidated, essentially. And Richard really likes that. He drools over that. He can't wait for people to short Hex on anything, on Ethereum or PulseChain, right? Which this will exist on Ethereum in I think January. So keep an eye out for that. Fiat will exist on Ethereum.
Okay, so launching on Ethereum first, and then since PulseChain's out, you'll be ready for it.
Yeah. So we can go down that rabbit hole. There will be two protocols. One will be on Ethereum, and one will be relaunched on PulseChain. So the forked version on Pulse, will not work anymore. Okay, it'll be relaunched, and you'll have all of those working assets over there. And the fiat one on Ethereum will continue to run and do its thing. So, but you'll be able to do all the same cool stuff, right? You'll be able to deposit Hex, borrow it. Most likely have all the blue chip assets that currently exist on Aave and things. If you do have any assets on Aave, probably maybe you'll get a higher APY in fiat on Ethereum, or e-fiat rather. So that's very exciting. There'll be more details about how that relates to Famous eFiat, how that relates to Famous. More details on that on Friday. Famous probably will not be launched on Ethereum. That's a PulseChain thing. Now, I mean, if PulseChain takes another year to come out, who's to say Famous can't come out on ETH, right? So, that's to be seen. But
are you saying the bottom of the barrel will be in 1 year?
that'd be really, that'd be really bad. But
yeah, I don't want that 2023. Give me a different 2023. That'll be a rough one.
I don't need a control V, control C of 2022, please. No, don't do that to me, please.
Jeez.
Please, sir.
Crazy to even theorize. Wow. I had a question due from UFO. Does Dylan know what self-deconstruct transactions are and how they can break the logic of lending pool contracts?
Does Dylan know what self-destruct transactions are and how they can break the logic of lending pool contracts? I have no idea. I am not that technically advanced. But, if you DM me that question, I can send it to the devs. t.me/hexastani on Telegram. But, I mean, if this isn't currently an issue on Aave, it's not going to be an issue for us. We're literally forking the Aave code, right? So, yeah, like, if there is some sort of exploit, right, they would be far more profitable of exploiting Aave, which currently holds around $10 billion in assets, than fiat, right? That probably isn't going to have $10 billion of assets, right now, right? So, yeah, I don't know much about that stuff you mentioned, so. But I can certainly ask about it.
Yeah, UFO follow up in the Telegram with them. Maybe the devs will be able to give you some good answers too. Anything else on the interface you want to show, Fatty, or any other demos?
I can show you the fiat demo, but I mean, it's. If you give me a second, I can pull it up.
Yeah, throw it up. We got time.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Famous stuff. Like, I opened it and was very impressed. Very impressed.
Yeah, so that's what we'll have to wait till Friday to find out on that.
Yes. Sure. I wish I could say more, but unfortunately I cannot. We want to really get you guys, get a hard on going with you guys. So
save it for Black Friday.
Yeah, save it for Black Friday. It's got
to be a quote. Save your hard on for Black Friday.
Yeah, right. Okay. Let me pull this up over here. Oh man.
Atlantic says, "How impressed were you, Dylan?" Give us a taste. Give us a little taste of how impressed you.
Okay, so let's put it in perspective, right? So I go on to Famous. First thing I do is go to Hack, add liquidity because there is none. Add a bunch of liquidity so I can go trade, and then my buddy right? We're like, all right, well, let's have some fun, and I find out that he's going short on Hex, right? And so I'm like, don't mind if I do. And so he opened up a $600,000 short on Hex, and it was only a 1.1x leverage. So it was, I'd have to pump the price up a lot to liquidate his ass, right? So I had to pump the price of Hex from $1.27 to $2. I pumped it up to $2.40 and liquidated his ass. And I was opening positions. I have a P&L card that I can't show yet, but I had a P&L card of a 49.5x long on X, just some crazy degenerate shit, right? And made like 10,000% on that trade, some crazy stuff. But yeah, it was really fun, and it's already accumulating a lot of fee generation from these liquidations, right? So, and just general use. So, but yes, I was very impressed, very excited about this. So, you know, I'm very, yeah.
Have you reached out to Eric Wall or Peter McCormick to give them a beta test of the platform so they could use it, you know, for shorting?
So yeah, interesting thing. We have a private chat with Eric. You know, we talked to him. He's actually become more active in these chats. But yes, you know, we talk to Eric all the time, right? He's a funny guy, great guy. He quite likes the cynical nature that we have going on in the back chats. You know, just this self-deprecating humor. But yes,
I think he's a secret Mexican. I think he exists to pump the price one way or another. Maybe in like the next level type stuff. But I think at the end of the day, we're gonna see him come out and be like a fan of some sort. I think in the future.
I'll tell you what, I strongly agree with this statement here. And if he doesn't admit to, you know, owning any hex outside of any bets, he definitely does hold at least $3,000 worth of hex because somebody bet him that it would never pass $1. Some, you know, will hex ever be $1 bet, right? But it's such an easy one-sided bet that if the price goes down, he just buys the bottom and he covers his bet for like pennies on the dollar, right? So,
right.
But you know, there's a couple of those bets going on out in the community outside of Eric Wall, but yes, you know, he's a funny guy. We will definitely bait him into shorting hex to zero if he thinks it's a Ponzi, right? So please, if you know people that don't like hex, this is their chance to short the Ponzi, right? This is their chance. This is their chance to short the Ponzi. You know, short it to zero, guys. Please short hex, right?
Nothing better than using your haters to your advantage.
Exactly.
I mean, even in the chat, sometimes somebody will come in and they'll say something, and I'm like, come on, you're probably just trolling. But then I'll post it and be like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's steel man their side of it. Let's actually get something good out of this. And then you turn you know, trolls into contributors. That's what I like to do.
Exactly. So I'm going to show you there you go. So this is the third version of fiat. The second version has pretty much 10x more liquidity, you know, that you can borrow and lend. You know, we have some risk parameters that we've added to kind of mitigate, you know, people with large wallets versus, you know, small liquidity pools. You know, it's important that you don't allow, you know, bad debt to happen, right? So, you know, limiting how much people can deposit at one particular time for one wallet, you know, we think is important for things like hex, which, you know, at the moment isn't extremely liquid, right? So, you know, if like the Godwill was just able to get free reign on hex and just, you know, deposit all of their hex on this and borrow everything else, right? Well, if they needed to get liquidated, well, you know, there isn't enough money in the liquidity pool to pay for their liquidation, you know. So, you know, we've added some risk factors to mitigate against that. So that's something we've done that's proprietary. So that'll be very useful for the platform. But as you can see, you know, there's a range of different currencies that you can deposit on here, and all of these are accrued through staking, right? So you can see here, you can see my position that I have staked, and then you know, this is the accrued interest of what I have, you know, just passively acquired, right? So, you know, I can claim these rewards at any time, right? So, you know, you claim these daily, hourly, you know, by the minute, which you probably shouldn't do, but you can. And, you know, these get deposited back onto the platform as collateral. So that's pretty cool. You know, the APYs on version 2 are a little bit better because that's where most of the users still have their funds, right? So they still haven't transferred all their stuff over to V3, but it's testnet, and it's kind of not as alive as it was 6 months ago. So it's to be expected, but money will probably not be this cheap on mainnet. I'll just tell you that. It'll probably run a little bit more expensive for borrowers than it is currently right now. So, you're probably not going to be able to borrow Hex at a 1.54% interest rate, right? So,
Right.
That's just naturally probably not going to happen. You're going to have people that are going to be borrowing it a little bit more than they do on testnet, right? So, but yeah, this is the third version of fiat. This would be something you'll expect to see probably on January of next year. So on Ethereum. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah. Something exciting to look forward to. I know people are talking about PulseChain, maybe in the spring and stuff too. But wow, there's a lot of launches. I mean, there'll be some products, liquid loans and stuff, probably after a few weeks afterwards or so. But I think just come back to the 2023 conversation. I don't think it's going to be. I hope it's not a control X, a control Z, a control get it out of here. Hopefully it's like, oh, this is pleasant surprise. I mean, maybe the other markets. Maybe a lot of markets other and ecosystems outside of the RH community melt down, and maybe that happens and stuff. But maybe we are the shining city on the hill after all.
Yeah, I mean that whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing, man. That was a pretty big monkey wrench. It's really fucking crazy what happened. But it does provide an important lesson for everybody that you can call them what they are, but a pretty good word for them would be, degenerate assholes, right? That have control over these centralized exchanges. You're better off doing things on chain, like what we have here, right? Like
not your keys, not your coins. That's the biggest lesson, I think.
Yep. And Aave is the shining city on the hill in the DeFi world, as well as Uniswap, as well as what we're forking with the leverage trading perpetuals on chain, right? These things have very good cash flows attached to them, right? So that just inherently makes these things valuable. Exactly. Money wrenches, yes. Monkey wrenches, they do create opportunities. That's very true. But if you're the one on the wrong side of that monkey wrench, you got fucking obliterated by that wrench. So,
yeah,
but yes,
it'll shake out one way or another. I think that maybe FTX made the bottom. Maybe it'll take a few weeks for everything to come out, but maybe it did, and maybe we go sideways until we go up.
Historical events would suggest that this contagion might continue to happen. So, and that would be not so good.
If we measure it from the summer, when Luna and Mashinsky and all that stuff came out, I wonder what is the average life cycle of big crypto failings or just big failings of industry? Like what time scale that spans? Is it 6 months? Is it that kind of thing? That'd be interesting to know.
I think a good case study would be like what happened in 2008. And this wallet, I have no idea. This is an ever-growing thing, and it's being built by a third party. They're taking their time, but it'll come out when it comes out, and when we think it's ready, y'all will be able to use it and everything. But there's still many things that need to be added to it and touched up. So
I'm waiting on the devs, just like all of you. Greatest hits from RH.
Yeah, we're waiting on the devs, patiently waiting. Yes.
Yeah. What were you saying about 2008?
But yeah, I mean, 2008 had some similar contagion happen, right? So a couple of hedge funds went under, and then one of the big banks went under, and then another really big bank went under, and then the Fed had to step in, right? So this might be the Lehman of 2008 or something like this, and it could keep going, right? So the Genesis thing, that happened. They had all their assets on on FTX, and it's still remains to be seen who else is affected by this stuff. So,
well, hopefully, if everything's faster in crypto, maybe we'll get through it faster as well. Maybe that's a hope we can do. Yeah. A couple years for 2008, maybe a couple years in traditional markets is 6 months in crypto, maybe at most.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's like last month was like a lifetime in a market almost.
Dude,
it felt like,
it's crazy. This year, insane. The last 6 to 8 months just felt like 2 or 3 years. It really has.
I know. Yeah, it's actually, yeah. From where will the yield for leveraged product come? So I'm going to assume that you are asking where the yield comes from, right? So the yield for fiat comes from borrowers. So when more people start to borrow particular assets, the APY that they pay for gets more expensive because they're using more of the liquidity. Okay, so if less people are borrowing, like, for instance, we have $2.9 million of hex liquidity, okay, and there's only a $47,000 loan. Your borrow APY is very low. If I go here and I borrow a shitload of hex real quick for example purposes, right, I will end up paying the lender a higher APY, okay, and you'll see this after the transaction goes through, and you'll notice that there is a spread between. See, now you can see that I am getting absolutely screwed because I'm paying now a 316% APY for my loan, right? So I affect everybody in the pool. So that person that was borrowing that 47K also has to pay this variable interest rate. And the depositor is now making 62.7% just for depositing their assets on fiat. And you'll notice that 62 deposit APY is not the same as 316 borrow APY. Well, because the rest of that APY goes to the stakers. So, if you have your fiat staked, you get a percent of, the borrower's loan repayment, right? Or their APY. So, that's where the yield comes from. It doesn't come from, well, I mean, yes, it comes from the borrowers lending out, doing things, speculating, borrowing funds, going and doing what they need to do in the business world and real life, what have you. Okay. If they get liquidated, their collateral will be sold to pay off their loans. Right. So for instance, when 3AC, when they were starting to go under, or when Celsius was starting to go under, okay, the first thing that they did was pay back Aave. Why? Because they would have lost way more money if they let that get liquidated. Whereas in Legacy, they had, they had credit, which isn't, in code. They could just default on that and, claim bankruptcy. But you can't do that with Aave. You can't say, hey, I'm bankrupt. Please don't liquidate my assets, because Aave, you're locked in the code. If you don't pay back your loan, you don't get your shit back, right? So that was the first thing that they paid off for this particular reason. So,
very interesting. I like hearing the backstory of some of the big players actually using platforms like this. And yeah, we have your collateral, so you better pay us back first. Wow.
Yes, it was actually really funny to watch Three Arrows Capital. They have a $1 billion load, and they're using like $5,000 NFTs that they had just sold to try and pay for it. I mean, wow. That's just that's just the bottom of the barrel right there,
Wow. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I love how NFTs are used as collateral.
They had that in their wallet, and it was just things that they had lying around because they were, literally, they're their ass is on fire at this point. So they're
Oh,
just
okay.
selling
Gotcha.
everything to just, make sure that they can still fund their position. So everything doesn't get liquidated, right?
Gotcha.
So they were literally just selling whatever they had to go and keep paying off their debt. So, but yes, that was really funny to watch.
I guess you should be able to use NFTs as collateral as long as you you would need like a lot more of it, right? You would have to like really stick, because the volatility, I guess, would be the factor on why that would be harder to do.
So yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole that you can go down. But there are things that exist where you can post NFTs as collateral. I believe on Aave v3, you can post liquidity positions as collateral, which are NFTs, but they have hard assets behind them. Maybe you'll see something like that on fiat one day. But as things grow, and become bigger fish, they just have cooler stuff on them, right? So,
Right.
but obviously, we're not going to promise you anything. That's just something cool will just happen on the exchange or on fiat, right? So,
No expectations.
yeah, exactly, right. But there's all sorts of things you can do with this stuff. It just takes a little bit of work. So,
quickly wrap up here in a minute, but I got a couple questions here. Can you just briefly go through tokenomics real quick for Fiat and Famous?
Sure. So both of them have a fixed supply. Both of them you'll be able to stake for their respective platforms. So for instance, on Fiat, you'll be able to stake your Fiat and just passively accrue, things like Pulse, Hex, PulseX, Hedron. We have a Helgo coin here, USDC. As the platform grows, naturally, you'll just steadily get, a little bit more of these different coins, right? So this also applies for Famous. It works relatively in the same way. You get a share of the fees on the margin trading DEX, right? So as more people use it, as there's more liquidity provided for others to use, as people get liquidated, because people are going to get liquidated, because that just happens. A share of those fees will be given to the Famous stakers, and they'll be getting all of the coins that are available to be traded and everything. So both of these coins have zero inflation, so the supply is what it is. If you stake the coins, you get a share of the fee generation. If you choose not to, then you can just speculate with them, right? So, but that's the use cases. That's the tokenomics. That's what you can do with them.